In 2025, one of the biggest stories in the tech world was the rise and fall of Cluely, a startup built on the back of controversy with the premise that viral distribution could overcome mediocre product. In under 2 months, they racked up over 100 million organic views and were claiming $7 million in annual recurring revenue. But as time went on, it would become more clear that the company had a hot start and then fizzled out. But despite how things turned out, Cluely is a great lesson in marketing. From positioning a product in a way that invites controversy to creating cinematic launch videos that go viral and building a UGC system that consistently prints millions of views. So let's break down the Cluely strategy that got the entire tech world talking. The story begins months before Cluely even existed. In early 2025, Roy Lee and Neil Shanmugam were still Columbia students when they built a product called Interview Coder, a software designed to help engineers cheat technical interviews in real time. This was a controversial value prop already, but the product alone wasn't the growth hack. The growth hack was what Roy did next. He took the biggest reputational risk you can take in tech. He used the tool on real interviews, landed internship offers from major companies, and then posted the video online. This was a gigantic risk. The upside was obvious. It was something the internet hadn't seen before, and as a result, could easily go viral. But the downside is also equally obvious. He was basically choosing to blackball himself from ever working in big tech. Roy still hit publish, and the bet worked. The story ripped through tech Twitter, got picked up by outlets, and turned Interview Coder into a cultural fight instead of just a product launch. That attention also came with consequences. Columbia took disciplinary action and Roy was kicked out. But Interview Coder shot up to over $100,000 MRR. The founder lesson here is very clear. Controversy creates conversation, conversation creates distribution, and distribution creates revenue. After Interview Coder, Roy and Neil raised and pivoted into a new startup to try and take an even bigger swing. Cluely, an undetectable AI assistant, positioned around the same emotional trigger that made Interview Coder spread: cheating. This time the positioning was even more deliberate. Cluely was branded as the software that lets you cheat on everything. This positioning automatically created a moral argument people couldn't resist replying to. So Cluely had a product that they had positioned to be controversial and as a result, viral. The next step was to create viral content about the product. Roy had achieved a small level of notoriety after first going viral and continued to use his personal account as a distribution channel. Cluely also took advantage of launch videos to spread awareness. These videos were mini brand films, cinematic, scripted, high production, and built around a single job, made Cluely feel like a cultural event. They were intended to trigger conversation and debate. Not, is this useful, but should this even exist? This is how you get replies, discourse, and free distribution from other people arguing about you. The launch videos helped, but Cluely's main engine for actually acquiring users was UGC creators on Instagram talking about real-world uses for the product. The strategy was simple: recruit tiny creators who were brand new to content, especially people already posting about dorm life, classes, internships, studying, anxiety, and the day-to-day college grind. Not influencers, not polished personalities, just small accounts with low stakes and high output. Cluely would have them make fresh accounts and post daily about college experiences, the same type of content that already performs: late night study sessions, exam weeks, internship prep, campus routines, day in the life, productivity hacks, etc. But with one rule: Cluely gets plugged in every single video, not as a sponsor read, not as a separate ad, as a tool that's just part of the routine. This makes the content feel natural and doesn't compromise its reach in the algorithm.
If you're an incoming college freshman, listen up. I'm gonna show you what I did freshman year to land competitive internship position that have set myself up for career success. Number 1, join student orgs that match your career field. You need to get yourself in the room with the right people. Number 2, build relations with older students and alumni. I just went on LinkedIn and found people in my major and literally just sent them a message to hop on a quick call. Once you're on the call, I use this widget called Cluely and it'll automatically take notes during the call. Once I'm done, it can show me a summary of the call and help me draft a follow-up email.
When you do this across dozens or hundreds of creators, you're not betting on one person going viral. You're running a volume game where the algorithm eventually hands you the winners. It's basically paid acquisition logic, but executed through humans instead of ads. A ton of creatives, a ton of hooks, constant repetition, and constant iteration. Each creator becomes a micro channel that funnels the same message to a slightly different sub-audience inside of the college cluster. If you're looking to use organic TikTok content to drive growth for your product, you can run the whole system using eventual.io. It's a platform where you can make job postings to find creators or clippers. You can track the videos they're posting for your brand, as well as the views they're generating, and you can also pay creators through the platform. It literally handles everything. And right now, because it just launched, it's completely free to use. Just go to info.io and make an account to get started. When creating the UGC system, Cooley was also making an important pivot. At launch, the headline was loud on purpose: cheat on everything. That phrase is emotionally loaded, instantly shareable, and it forces a conversation. But once a product is known primarily as a cheating tool, two things tend to happen fast. People try to reverse engineer it, and platforms and schools take measures to stop it. And then whatever undetectable advantage you implied starts to become more shaky. So Cooley changed their messaging by reframing the same feature in a more defensible wrapper. From cheating to studying, from undetectable assistant to learn and prep tool. Despite transitioning to more boring positioning, when it came to generating views, Cooley's strategy was still extremely successful. In June alone, Cooley creators were able to pull 100 million views. But when it comes to revenue, things were slightly more shaky. Roy reported that Cooley was at a $7 million annual run rate, which would mean they made around $583,000 in the month. But recently he took to X to admit that this was not true, claiming the real number was $537,000. Regardless of the real number, the amount of views more than likely translated to at least several hundred thousand in revenue. Despite this initial success, Cooley was still an experiment, a test to see how far a company could get with a mediocre product and viral distribution. Unfortunately, Cooley was not able to maintain the level of attention around its launch, causing numbers to drop after its strong start. Still, there are several lessons founders can take away from this startup story. First, controversy is a powerful lever because it manufactures what founders usually struggle to get: attention with momentum. Most products launch into silence, so they try to explain themselves into relevance with feature lists and polite messaging. Cooley did the opposite. They picked language that forced an emotional response. Cheat isn't a descriptor, it's a trigger. It collapses your positioning into something that's instantly understood and invites moral argument. People can't resist joining in. That matters because arguments don't just spread faster, they recruit other people to do your marketing for you. The key founder takeaway isn't be unethical or be edgy, it's that if you can attach your product to a conversation people already care about and you're willing to withstand the heat, you can create a level of awareness that would normally take years and a massive ad budget. The second lesson is distribution can take you a long way because attention compounds faster than product improvements. Cooley essentially proved that if you can create a constant stream of native content inside a tight niche, you can brute force awareness and convert a meaningful number of users in the beginning, even if the product is only good enough. Cooley built a system around volume, recruiting tiny creators, replicating viral formats, and printing millions of views. For bootstrap founders, that's the optimistic part of this story. You don't need permission or capital to build distribution. You need a repeatable format, a clear niche, and the discipline to ship content like it's product. The final lesson is distribution alone isn't sustainable because attention is rented and the product is owned. The same thing that makes controversy and short form work in the beginning also makes it fragile later. The internet moves on, algorithms shift, audiences get fatigued, and once novelty wears off, you're left with the only question that matters long term. Does the product keep users when nobody's arguing about it anymore? If the core premise weakens, like undetectable becoming questionable once people understand how it works, then your distribution engine starts pulling less weight because the content is now selling something that doesn't feel as true. That's why the Cooley arc is such a clean lesson. Distribution can create a massive top of funnel and buy you time, but eventually retention, real utility, and trust become the bottleneck. The best founders use distribution to get a head start, then they sprint to make a product that's undeniable before attention fades.